All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it, the ones that were able to make it. And I'd like to introduce, my name is Val Hoyle. I'm the Majority Leader of the House and proud to be the State Representative for House District 14, which encompasses West Eugene and Junction City. Also, I would like to introduce Senator Diane Rosenbaum, who is the Majority Leader of the Senate. Very proud to serve with her, and she'll tell you where she's from. It's in Portland. We have Jose Gonzalez and Raylene McMillan, and you will hear more about them shortly. Today, I'm proud to release the we're proud to release the Democratic legislative agendas for the 2014 session, and we're going to build upon, in February, we're going to build upon the accomplishments that we had in the 2013 session. We passed the largest K-12 budget ever. It's still not enough, but it is the largest budget. We delivered a $1 billion boost to public schools. We reduced tuition increases at the Oregon universities from an average of 5% to 3.5%, because in order for people to get an education, we need to make it affordable, and that's important. We invested in infrastructure improvements that are creating hundreds of local jobs all over the state and will serve the needs of communities. We still have a lot more to do, and we're going to use our limited time in February to focus on Oregon's priorities, which are expanding access to high-quality education, creating jobs, and making government work better for Oregon. Now, specifically in terms of education, the top of our action plan is education because of our commitment to Oregon's students, schools, and families. In 2014, we're going to push to find additional resources to help the highest need public schools. After years of disinvestment, even last year's historic boost wasn't adequate, so we're going to see what we can do. We don't expect there to be a lot of money, but where there is money, we want to put it into our schools. We're exploring policy that would protect Oregon students from unfair fees on their student loans. If students are having to borrow, they shouldn't have to pay extra just because they're in school at a time when they're least able to afford it. We want to put Oregonians back to work. The economy is showing signs of recovery, but it's not growing fast enough. We aim to strengthen support for Back to Work Oregon, the program proven to place unemployed Oregonians into long-term permanent jobs, and strengthen Oregon's rural communities by increasing our support for business outside of the metro area. That would be the Portland metro area, but there's a lot of the rest of the state, and we're really interested in working there as well. We want to make government work better for Oregon. Our taxpayers need to know that their hard-earned money is being spent wisely, so we want to raise the standards for government contracts so the state can hold companies accountable if they fail to live up to their promises. One proposal would require all public contracts over $1 million to include third-party quality assurance, which could avoid some of the problems that we've seen in the rollout with Cover Oregon. Strengthen critical programs that are serving Oregon seniors. And in the short session, our time to focus on getting things done for the people of Oregon, we've invited a small business owner and a phenomenal student to share their stories. But first, we'll hear from the Senate Majority Leader, Diane Rosenbaum, to go over the Senate agenda.
Thank you, Representative Hoyle. I am State Representative Diane Rosenbaum from District 21 in Portland and proud to be the Senate Majority Leader. We're excited to see so many of you here today as we roll out our agenda for the 2014 legislative session that'll be starting February 3rd. Senate Democrats are focused this session on providing leadership and getting things done for everyday Oregonians. As everybody knows, the gridlock in Washington, D.C. and the excessive partisanship has meant that we haven't been able to look to the nation's capital for a lot of progress. But here in Salem, things are different. We actually have been able to work together and get many things done on the issues that matter to real people in our state and not get involved in the partisan gamesmanship and polarization of D.C. So we want to talk today about some of the key priorities that we will be working on in this upcoming February session. We're working to find common ground and move Oregon forward and continue our track record of getting things done. I want to just focus on 4 of those key priorities that reflect the ones that we've heard about in our districts all over the state. First, making higher education more affordable by looking at ways to provide free community college to more Oregonians. We'll be also modernizing our job training programs. As a member of the State Workforce Investment Board, I know that we are doing a lot to provide training for out-of-work Oregonians who need the skills to get those good jobs. What we believe is that this program can be made more efficient so that job training is accessible to the people who need it, and the pathway to those good-paying jobs is a smooth one. We also will be working to raise the cap on loans for our small businesses that are trying to grow and expand and add employees. We have successful loan programs right now, but we think that they can be made more effective by raising the cap on the amount that can be applied for, and that will help put more people back to work and help our small businesses to grow and expand. And finally, we will be working to invest in new programs for seniors and our most vulnerable. The proposals in this agenda will help Oregonians all over the state, whether they're in Cave Junction, whether they're in Bend or LeGrand or Portland. We think these are meaningful, common sense proposals that will help everyone around our state. Our agenda was developed by a representative group of Senate Democrats from every corner of the state, and we were looking for 2 things when we selected the items to work on for February. We wanted things that reflected the priorities of real people, of the constituents that we talk to every day, and that included continuing our economic recovery and putting Oregonians back to work and focusing on a good education system. And then secondly, we were looking for things that could be actually accomplished in a 35-day maximum session. This is not going to be a session that will be able to solve all the problems of Oregon, nor is it meant to be, but we think what we're putting forward today are things that are concrete and achievable. I want to highlight just a couple of pieces of our agenda before I turn it over to our other speakers. Under the education arena, as Representative Hoyle already said, we were able to make that over $1 billion investment in K-12 education. It's crucial to be able to protect that, and we will ensure that those funds go where they're needed and not get diverted for any other purpose. In addition, we want to look for innovative ways to make higher education more affordable and accessible, and that includes a proposal that Senator Mark Hass, chair of the Senate Education Committee, has to create a study to look at ways to provide free community college tuition so that Oregon high school graduates can get into community college and be able to access job training and have a pathway to a good job. We also are looking for ways to build on Oregon's gradual economic recovery. That includes modernizing our job training programs for Oregonians who need skills to get back to work, and supporting our small businesses by expanding the entrepreneurial loan program that I talked about earlier, and also providing services that advocate for small business, and that includes expanding our small business assistance office. And then finally, we're working to make state government work for more vulnerable Oregonians, and that means prioritizing investments in services for Oregon seniors and mental health. We have actually millions of dollars to allocate that came about as a result of the recent special session, and those will go toward programs like Oregon Project Independence. We hope providing a statewide guardianship program, which is a bill that Senator Michael Dembrow is introducing, additional caregiver training, and other programs that will benefit those in need of senior services and mental health services. So those are some of the concrete things that we'll be working on in the upcoming month-long session. And now I want to introduce to you Jose Gonzalez. Jose is a small business owner. He's the president of Two Casa Real Estate Company, which is located right here in Salem. And he's going to talk to you a little about why supporting small business and some of the programs that we're talking about are so important to Oregon's economy. And I'll turn it over to Jose.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Good morning. My name is Jose Gonzalez. I'm president of Two Casa Real Estate. We've been serving the greater Salem area for actually 20 years this year. I personally joined Two Casa in 1997 and became president owner in 2005. I'm honored to be here today with the Senate and House Majority Leaders to discuss the needs of small businesses in Oregon. The bottom line is Main Street businesses need more customers to be able to get our economy back on track. We need customers with higher paying, family wage jobs, so our friends and families are financially stable, and so more money gets circulated back into our local economies. To get there, we need a better educated workforce, modernized job training programs, so more Oregonians, whether they live in rural or urban Oregon, can get the skills and training they need to earn those family wage jobs. So for us at Two Casa Real Estate, it's simple. Better skills means better jobs. Better jobs mean higher wages. And those higher wages mean the ability to purchase a home that truly fits that family's needs. Improved livability is what is important for us. As a company who depends on home ownership, it'd be ideal for all Oregonians to be able to afford and feel stable enough to buy in the same neighborhoods where they work. And along those lines, small businesses are the backbone of our communities, and we want to be able to grow and thrive in Oregon, but we can't do it alone. We are excited that our legislators have put together a plan to eliminate unnecessary barriers, expand access to loans, and make it easier for small businesses to work with the state. As someone that works with other small business owners to help them reach their own goals, I've seen firsthand the trouble Salem area small businesses have had accessing funds to grow their business. In this economy, many small businesses are struggling to obtain the loans they need to prosper, create more family wage jobs, and offer quality services to their customers. The availability of affordable credit can mean a difference between hiring on one hand and cutting those jobs on the other. Main Street neighborhood businesses need an investment in our most valuable resource, people. We need to ensure that we're doing all we can to improve the quality of and access to higher education and the skills that Oregonians need to earn those family wage jobs. This, combined with the streamlined approach to connecting the state with small businesses and increasing access to business loans, is just what Oregon small business owners need to create more jobs and help get our economy state back on track. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jose. And with that, I'd like to introduce Raylene McMillan. She is a junior at Portland State University, an alumni of Portland Community College, Sylvania. One of the bills that we worked on previously was to allow community college credits to be transferred over to four-year colleges so that, again, it was less expensive for students to go to school so they wouldn't leave with so much debt. She's a political science major, Spanish minor, studying to be a high school civics teacher, and serves as the University Affairs Director in the Associated Students of Portland State University.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm honored to be here today to talk about my experience as a student fighting to pay for a degree here in Oregon and working to build a brighter future here. Following high school, my personal economic circumstances did not see me directly into college. I spent the better part of my 20s bartending in Portland, unable to accept the fact that a degree would put me into 5 figures worth of debt. The years ticked by, and while I can shake up a mean martini and I do regard mixology as a creditable skill, I couldn't help but feel that my capacities were being underutilized. My sense of purpose is best fed when I'm helping to enrich young folks' sense of connection to public policy and their elected decision makers. My deepest aspiration is to teach high school civics. I'm blessed to have a dream that is closely tied to betterment of the community I aim to serve, but this doesn't make the dream any less expensive. Average tuition is astronomically high compared to what it was just a generation ago. Often, the price of a single textbook is higher than 2 weeks' worth of groceries. I'm very thankful that the House and Senate Democrats fought so hard last year to hold down tuition increases in Oregon universities from an average of 5% to an average of 3.5%. But as the majority leaders said today, we do have more work to do. Like so many students, I've had to work 2 part-time jobs and take out loans to continue my journey toward a degree. It hasn't been easy. Each term, my student loan statement sends a rush of anxiety through me. So the last thing that should happen to hardworking students in my position is to get nickel and dimed on the loans that we do have to take out. It's heartening to me to hear that Oregon's Democrats are working to protect students from unfair fees on our student loans and ultimately make college more accessible and affordable for everybody. I'm also excited that Representative Joe Gallegos is starting to push for an expansion of Portland Community College's Future Connect program, which is helping to eliminate barriers to college by providing support for first-generation or low-income students. Rep. Gallegos' Aspirations to College bill would expand the competitive grant for community colleges throughout the state to help them provide classes and programs that would support these students through their continued education. As a 30-year-old junior who is very proud to have begun at Portland Community College and serve now as the University Affairs Director at Portland State University Student Government, I am exceptionally appreciative of all of the hard work Oregon legislators are doing to make higher education accessible to any student ambitious enough to seek it. I have seen and experienced the difference it can make. Thank you.
So one of the reasons that we had these people come and talk to you is because you get to talk to us every single day. You get to listen to us every single day when we're here. And we felt like it was important to hear from real Oregonians who are impacted by the legislation that we pass. And we know that being in the majority means that we lead and we govern. And I'm proud of the work that we've done, working in coalition and in a bipartisan fashion to do what's best for the entire state. With that, I'll see if Senator Rosenbaum wants to make additional comments, and then we'll open it up for questions.
No, I think we're really excited to get to work in February. We think that we have some concrete proposals that we've talked about that will be able to be passed, but we also are looking forward to hearing your questions, so we'll just open it up.
To the extent that some of these have a price tag associated with them, where does that money come from?
Well, in terms of the mental health and senior programs that I talked about under the Senate Democrats' agenda, money was already allocated for those purposes in a special purpose appropriation, and so that amount, which I think ranges somewhere between 25 million upwards, is already in the budget, just needs to be allocated to some of the programs that I talked about, and I'm sure there will be requests for others. I think most of the things that we're talking about are not actually asking for new funding because, as we keep hearing, there won't be a lot of additional revenue available to spend, but there will be some small amounts, I think, to administer some of these programs.
So, and that's the same. The things that we're looking at really don't require additional investment, but if there are extra funds available, what we would like to do is make sure that that's focused on education priorities, specifically to provide additional resources for the 19 high poverty schools that didn't receive money in the last session as part of the strategic investments. So we'll be looking at that. But we're also in expanding our senior programs. Those were monies that were made available during the special session. So we'll be rolling that out. But neither of us expect that there's going to be a windfall of extra dollars, and we'll act accordingly.
I have a question. So you guys talked about wanting to take on practical issues that will get through a 35-day session, but we've also heard that some other controversial substantive issues like guns that didn't make it past last year's session are going to be coming back as well. Why take on issues like that in a short session?
Well, it certainly has been widely reported that a background check bill for private gun sales is going to be introduced through the Senate Judiciary Committee, and these are important issues. So I think it's uncertain what the committee process will do with some of the more controversial issues. There's not a lot of time to work out details, but that doesn't mean that they won't get a hearing. So I think there will be other things than what we've talked about. But I think our agendas are focused on the economy, on education, and on being accountable. And those are the things that we know we can get done.
Is it safe to say that this contractor accountability stuff is a direct result of what we've seen from Cover Oregon?
Yes, I think that's the latest example. But the bottom line is we want to make sure that, one, for Cover Oregon, we want to support a third-party audit to find out what went wrong. We also have Representative Nancy Nathanson, who truly is one of the sharpest people in the building, quiet but just brilliant. And she is focused on bringing forward a bill that, and just a policy that we ensure that contracts, every contract over a certain amount, are looked at not just by DAS or by a third party, to ensure that they're not just looked at to make sure that the wording is right or that it's legal, but the contract is actually in the best interest of the state. Because we've seen in numerous different examples that contracts that the state does aren't necessarily negotiated in a way that, coming from, I spent 25 years in the private sector and I negotiated a lot of contracts, and we want to make sure that the taxpayers and the state get the best deal possible. So, one, yes, is Cover Oregon bringing this forward? Absolutely, but it's something that we've been working on for a while, and I think this is a good time to bring those accountability bills forward. Nothing from over here?
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just typing. I wanted to ask the entrepreneurial, and this is the entrepreneurial credit. How much is it? How much is the cap now, and how much do you want to raise it by?
So the current cap is $75,000, and this proposal will raise it to $100,000. So, in other words, expansion that would need a larger loan now can't even be considered. This will, we think, make a lot more small businesses able to make use of it than currently are. So, I think that will help to do some more significant expansions than we've been able to do. And we did develop this in collaboration with our business development program that administers it, and they suggested that this would be a meaningful change where they could really allocate these funds in a more useful way. So we're confident that that will work.
Hannah, I don't want you to feel left out. You don't have to ask a question, but I just want to make sure you don't feel left out.
Well, I actually did have a question. In your contracting accountability, contracts with private parties are something that SEIU has been really worried about. I think they're concerned some aren't accountable. I think they're also concerned that certain things are being contracted out that the state could do itself with its own employees.
Right.
So are you working with them, and is that something that you're going to be considering as you do this?
Are you asking if Democrats are working with SEIU? Because yes, of course.
Well,
But
I know you work with them, but I mean, are you working with them on this issue? Do you have them in the room?
So I think there's two things. One is the accountability of the contracts that we're writing, and then also making sure that as we contract out work to the private sector, whether or not we're actually getting a better deal and it's costing us less for the product that's provided than if we did that with state employees. So we've been working with SEIU and also AFSCME on that, and I think that you have to do a fair cost-benefit analysis, and the cost-benefit analysis has to include everything that is provided, not just that direct job, but the overall product that's provided. So we found in some cases it's a better value to contract out, but we found in a number of other cases that we get a better value and higher quality work when we use our own workforce. So that is something that we have worked on, that we will continue to work on, and we're very grateful for SEIU and AFSCME for bringing that forward.
What's the appetite inside your caucuses for some of these projects that various groups are coming in looking for bonding on, OHSU, CRC? What's the temperature?
So, we have a limited amount of funds available, bonds available. What what we know for a fact is that using government bonding to invest in infrastructure that benefits many generations is an appropriate use of government funds and bonding. I think in terms of the bridge, we had hearings earlier this week. There's still some outstanding questions. I think, we need to determine what the answers to those questions are before deciding what our next steps will be. And for OHSU, again, I think we'll be having a capital construction committee hearing so that we can hear and listen to what the proposal is. In both of those cases, the investment of state dollars bring in significant resources, either from private sector or from federal government, and those are really good jobs. OSHU project will put Oregon on the map in terms of being a cancer research center. So I don't have an answer as to whether we'll move forward or not move forward, but I think there certainly is an appetite for us to look at both proposals, both projects, and see if it's a good return on investment for Oregon.
When it comes to college affordability, both of you now represent an area with the university with its own board. The U of O and PSU both have them now. And it used to be, the OUS would tell them all what they could do with their tuition. It was kind of centralized. But now these three big ones are on their own for deciding how it's going to go up and what they're going to do with it and how much they're going to charge. So don't they have more?
There is a limit.
There is a limit.
There is a limit in terms of what their tuition increase can be, and with those independent boards, and we're still discussing how is that going to, how is it going to roll out, and what are we going to do with the smaller universities. But there's a limit to what that tuition increase can be, and the independent board doesn't control everything. It isn't like these are now private universities. The independent board has better local control over those issues that will allow the universities to react in a manner to benefit students quickly without having to come to the to the legislature. I mean, previously our universities were treated like an agency,
right.
So that was not helpful. So we're moving through, but again, there is a limit to how much they can raise that tuition.
Are you worried at all that it might, you might get some pushback now that they do have a little bit more independence?
I expect we'll work in collaboration.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's really early days because
Yeah.
we just appointed and confirmed in
Yeah.
the Senate the members of those boards. In fact, I think in February we'll be adding a couple more to the PSU board. So I don't think the intention was to cut these institutions loose, as Representative Hoyle just said. We will continue to maintain oversight, and I think we're hoping for it to be a good collaboration, but it really is very new. I don't even know if they've had their first meetings yet. So.
All right, with that, we've gone over time, but because we enjoyed spending time with you so much, so I want to thank you for that, and you know where our offices are. We both have an open door policy, and we want to thank our guests here today, and again, enjoy your day. Can't think of a better way for you to start it out.
Thank you.